What would a world without the internet look like? And how close are we to finding out? The internet has become the invisible engine powering our lives. It underpins how we work, shop, date, vote, bank, learn, and communicate. From smart homes and hospitals to stock exchanges and satellites, its reach is almost limitless. Yet beneath its digital convenience lies a hard truth. Our global web is far more fragile than most people realize. As dependency deepens, the risk of disruption increases. Cyber attacks, natural disasters, infrastructure failures, or even political interference could flip the switch on connectivity in seconds. A blackout wouldn't just be inconvenient, it could be catastrophic, shutting down hospitals, halting food deliveries, and collapsing economies. We'll explore a question that was once unimaginable. Could the internet shut down completely or on a massive scale? And more importantly, what would that actually look like? We'll dive into the architecture that holds the internet together, the forces threatening it, and what a shutdown would mean for everyday life. We'll also examine the precedents, the possibilities, and the preparations. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. As we move further into a digital-first world, it's time to ask what happens when the lights go out, and how do we get them back on? How is the global internet held together? And why is it more vulnerable than we think? The internet seems wireless and seamless, but it relies on a vast and vulnerable physical structure. Beneath oceans lie over 550 undersea cables which transmit over 95% of all international data. These fiber optic arteries are thinner than a garden hose and stretch across continents. They're often unguarded, exposed to accidental cuts by ships, and even to intentional sabotage. On land, the internet is maintained by sprawling networks of data centers, local internet service providers, routers, and switches. Data moves through these physical nodes, hopping through servers and transcontinental hubs in milliseconds. Without them, your Wi-Fi connection wouldn't lead anywhere. Data centers require constant electricity and cooling systems to keep millions of servers operational. A single power outage or system glitch can cause outages affecting millions, as seen during the Amazon Web Services disruptions. Satellites also play a significant role, especially for rural connectivity. But their bandwidth and speed can't rival fiber optics, making them a fragile fallback rather than a robust replacement. Understanding the internet's architecture reveals a sobering fact. It's less like the cloud and more like a spiderweb, impressive but incredibly delicate when struck in the right place. What are the biggest dangers that could trigger a massive internet failure? The threats to internet stability are growing. Cyber attacks top the list. Distributed denial of service attacks flood servers, overwhelming them with traffic and shutting down access. In 2016, the Mirai botnet temporarily took down major services like Twitter and Netflix. Natural disasters also play a massive role. Earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes can wipe out key infrastructure. In 2022, Tonga was plunged into digital darkness for weeks after a volcanic eruption severed its only undersea cable. Human error is a surprisingly common culprit. A single configuration mistake in a content delivery network can cause global outages, as seen when Facebook went down in 2021. Then there's politics. Governments in Iran, India, and Myanmar have all intentionally shut down the internet during civil unrest. These actions cut citizens off from the world and raise concerns about authoritarian control over connectivity. Add aging infrastructure and inadequate maintenance to the mix, and the question becomes not if, but when, large-scale internet failure will strike. What have real-world internet shutdowns already taught us, and are we paying attention? While a total global blackout hasn't occurred, regional and national internet shutdowns have become disturbingly frequent. In 2011, Egypt's government shut down nearly all internet access in response to mass protests. The blackout lasted 5 days and disrupted communication, banking, and all emergency services. India has recorded more internet shutdowns than any other country in recent years, usually during elections, protests, or security crackdowns. Millions are regularly cut off without warning or explanation. In 2022, a massive cyber attack on Viasat knocked out internet for parts of Ukraine and across Europe, showing how a single incident can ripple across borders. Even developed nations aren't immune. These events serve as proof that internet blackouts are not speculative, they are happening now. And they're growing in both scale and sophistication. Each incident becomes a case study in how the modern world begins to crumble when its most vital system goes offline. What would happen to our economy, health systems, and daily lives if the internet went offline? The immediate fallout of a global or large-scale shutdown would be chaos. Communication would collapse, no texting, email, social media, or cloud services. Financial systems would seize up as ATMs, online banking, and stock exchanges went dark. Supply chains, already vulnerable, would freeze. GPS systems, shipment trackers, and factory software all rely on the internet. Grocery stores would face restocking delays. Gas stations might not be able to process digital payments. Health systems would struggle. From digital patient records to telemedicine and online prescriptions, the modern medical system depends on uninterrupted connectivity. Even emergency services like 911 dispatch centers rely on cloud-based systems. Education would have to pause, especially for the millions of students in remote learning environments. And public trust would plummet. People would panic not just from inconvenience, but from fear of the unknown. What makes the internet shutdown so terrifying isn't just the silence. It's the realization of how quickly civilization begins to crack without digital glue. What steps can we take today to prevent or to survive a large-scale internet collapse? The good news is that we're not powerless. Countries and companies are developing systems to improve redundancy. Multiple undersea cables, mirror servers, and decentralized network designs reduce single points of failure. Cybersecurity remains the frontline defense. From stronger encryption and AI-driven threat detection to international treaties on cyber warfare, protecting the internet is now a geopolitical priority. Local resilience is key. Mesh networks allow devices to communicate without centralized internet, a tool already being used in disaster zones. Communities with emergency broadcast systems and local data backups fare better during outages. At the individual level, simple steps matter, like backing up important files offline, learning how to use radios or analog navigation, and supporting infrastructure bills that fund digital resilience. Ultimately, a global shutdown might be rare, but regional failures are certain. Resilience isn't about avoiding collapse. It's about making sure it doesn't break everything when it comes. What role do governments and tech giants play in protecting or threatening our digital future? Governments have immense power over digital infrastructure and a responsibility to use that power wisely. They can legislate protections for free access, invest in hardened networks, and enforce strict cybersecurity standards. But they can also abuse their power. Authoritarian regimes have used shutdowns to silence dissent, restrict information, and to isolate citizens. The line between protection and control is razor thin. Meanwhile, tech giants like Amazon, Google, and Meta control vast parts of the internet backbone, from cloud servers to content delivery networks. When a single private company goes down, so does half the internet. Public-private collaboration is essential. Governments can regulate, but tech companies must take responsibility for building redundant and secure systems that prioritize uptime over profit margins. In the digital age, internet access is a civil right and a national security issue. Both state and corporate actors must treat it with the urgency it demands. Could a digital collapse really happen? And if it does, are we ready? The idea of a global internet shutdown once belonged in dystopian fiction, but today, it's a possibility experts cannot ignore. With cyber warfare on the rise, natural disasters increasing in intensity, and geopolitical tensions pushing governments toward digital control, the internet's vulnerabilities are no longer hypothetical. Such an event wouldn't just disrupt convenience, it would destabilize society. Today, every area of life runs on connectivity, but fragility isn't fate. We have the necessary tools to prevent a collapse or at the very least to survive one. Governments must invest. Tech companies must harden their systems. Communities must educate and prepare. And each of us must stop taking connectivity for granted and start thinking about what we do without it. One of the most dangerous assumptions is that the internet will always be there. That illusion of permanence prevents us from building resilience. Much like preparing for floods or blackouts, planning for digital outages isn't paranoia, it's practical. From analog backups to community coordination, preparing for a shutdown today could save lives tomorrow. So ask yourself, if the internet disappeared tomorrow, even just for a week, would you be ready? What would you do if the internet disappeared for 48 hours? Let us know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if this video gave you new insight into how fragile the internet really is. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and let's talk about getting prepared before we're only left with having to react. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.